Here we have another special right triangle. In this case, it's the 30, 60, 90. And again, instead of just giving you everything right away, I want you to think about where it comes from. And this one comes from this triangle, which I wanted to look like an equilateral triangle. And we're going to take that equilateral triangle, we're going to cut it in half. Well, if we cut it in half, this is still 60 degrees of my equilateral triangle. If I'm truly cutting it in half, then this is my 30-degree angle, and then all that's left is the right angle there. So there's your 30, 60, 90 triangle. Use that, that thought process as we move on. Think about where it comes from, because that leads me with this. If I know what A is, and I'm using A to be the short leg, notice, I should be able to very quickly figure out C. Because remember, this comes from an equilateral triangle that we cut in half. So I think about it this way. If I were to put in the rest of my equilateral triangle, and I know what A is, in my first example I say it's 3, well then if I go to think about if this is 3, well then that means this is 3, and the whole side of the equilateral triangle would be 6, which means the C over there would also have to be 6. So keep that in mind. Notice what we just did. We took the short leg, just multiplied it by 2. I'm going to get rid of all this stuff now. Maybe. Get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that so that we're back here. Now if I go to my next one, well now this time I tell you that A is 4. Well if A is 4, C is going to be 8, the hypotenuse. Which tells me if I know a leg, or excuse me, not a leg, if I know the short leg, all I need to do to get to the hypotenuse, excuse me, is multiply by 2. Well then, go the other way. If you know the hypotenuse, if you're going to get back to the short leg, you need to divide by 2. Which leads me to my next one. Well now, in this case, I know that the hypotenuse is 16. That's going to put me at 8 here. If the hypotenuse is 10, like the next one, it's going to put me at 5 in the short leg. Now it's just a matter of figuring out, well, how do I find that long leg? Well, to do that, what we're going to need to do is, let's just go with green. We could use the Pythagorean theorem to find this, but I'm just going to give it to you. So to go this direction, in other words, if you know the short leg and you want to find the long leg, all you have to do is multiply by root 3. Which means if you're going to go back this way, so if you know the short leg and you want to, or excuse me, if you know the long leg and you want to get back to the short leg, you're going to divide by root 3. Well, bring that back up here then to fill out my chart. All that's telling me is, well, short leg is 3. Just said that we have to multiply it by root 3 to find the long leg. Short leg multiplied by root 3 gets the long leg. You see the pattern here. Whoops. So all I'm doing to fill out all those blue numbers is I just took short leg and I multiplied it by root 3 to get the long leg. Well then, if I want to figure out the short leg and the hypotenuse when I know the long leg, well, now I have to work backwards. Come back up to my little diagram here. I know B, the short or the long leg. Notice if I want to get to A, I divide by root 3. So I'll take this 9. I'm going to divide by root 3. And again, there's that radical in the denominator. Mathematicians have said that that's unacceptable, so we need to change it so it looks acceptable. Multiply by my form of 1. And I'm going to find out my numerator is 9 root 3. My denominator is 3. That can be simplified. And I find out that my answer is 3 root 3. So if the long leg is 9, my short leg is going to be 3 root 3. And then, remember, if you know short leg, all we have to do is multiply by 2 to get to the long leg. Well, 3 root 3 times 2 is 6 root 3. Now another way to think about all this, kind of like before in my 45, 45, 90 triangle that I talked about, say you know the length of the short leg, call it x. It could be any number. Well then, the hypotenuse, notice multiplied by 2, we would just say is 2x. And then if I know again, the short leg is x, multiply it by root 3 to get to the long leg, then the long leg is going to be x root 3. You can just fill in your variable, whatever it is, can go into any one of those spots to find the other two. I want to look at one more example, and that's this one. I want to fill in the missing side lengths. Notice I know the long leg. And the reason I know it's the long leg is because it's opposite the 60-degree angle. Well, I think about this and I say, well, if I need to go this way to get to the short leg, I needed to divide by root 3. And then once I got there, if I know the short leg, now all I have to do is multiply by 2 to get to the hypotenuse. I'm going to start off by dividing by root 3. So I'm going to take 14, I'm going to divide it by the root 3. And again, there's that radical in the denominator, so I have to take care of that. So I'm going to multiply by root 3 over root 3, my form of 1. Not going to change the value, just the way it looks. And I end up with 14 root 3 over 3. Now that can't be simplified, so my length of my short leg is 14 times the square root of 3 divided by 3. And now I need to take that and I need to figure out how long the hypotenuse is. Well, remember we said we need to take the short leg, we need to multiply it by 2 to come up with the long leg. And that's going to give us 28 times the square root of 3 over 3. So my hypotenuse is 28 root 3 over 3. And I filled in the missing sides in that 30, 60, 90 triangle. So that's a quick lesson on the 30, 60, 90 triangle.